Hey, what's up guys, it's still for Final Concept. So today we are going to create a YouTube channel art just like this one in Adobe Photoshop. So let's just get started. Alright, so let's open up our application. For this tutorial, I'm using Adobe Photoshop CC 2021, and you can pretty much use any of them. Even the CSS should work just fine. So we are going ahead to create a new document, and if I pull up my Google search right here, you can see that we are being asked to use a 2560 pixels by 1440p. So we are going to be creating two documents. So let's go ahead and create the first one. So this is going to be the 2560? Yeah, 2560 by 1440. And I'm going to leave the resolution to 100. You can make it 300 or anything. That should work just fine. So I'll click on create, and this is what we have. And let me hide this for a second. And we go ahead and create the second one. So you can click on the home tab or just go to file and click on new. Then with this, I'm going to set the width to what we have here. So that is 1546. Copy that, I'll paste it in here, and this is going to be 423, and I'll click on create. Now this is what anyone who visits your YouTube channel is basically going to see, but the actual size has to be on top of this for you to get the whole that's the border, width and height of YouTube channel art. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the lock icon right here to make it a layer, and I'll right click and go to convert to smart object. Now once I have done that, I'll go to the move tool and just click and drag and drop this on our new work, which is right here. Now as you can see, you can barely see nothing. That's because it is a white on white sheet. So what we have to do is just go to FX and click on color overlay, and let's change the color to something else. All right, now let's try and place this. Let's try and place this at the center. If you want to get to the center, you can just click and drag from the edge on the left. When it gets to the center, it should snap in like so. I have my rulers here using Ctrl R. So you can see that when I get to the 50% mark, I know that that is my my center. So over here, I'll get to the 50, which is also here. So what I'll do is I'll just place this at the center like so, using the borders over here and over here. Now we can go ahead and hide the rulers because we don't need them anymore. Now the important part about this is we are going to be creating our image or whatever thumbnail it is on top of this brown thing we have here. So I'll right click on that layer. You know what, let's give it a name. Let's call it main art. Sorry, I like typing in caps. Main art. So I right click and go to convert to smart object. And now anytime we double click, it's just going to open up the smart object for us. Now the reason why I do it this way is if at any point in time you want to make changes to it, once you notify the changes, like if I move this over here and go ahead and save this up, Ctrl S, if I come back to the main art, you notice that it has also moved over here. This is what we want. Now we don't need this anymore, so I'll go ahead and delete that. Now this is what we want, so that any point in time when we make changes, we can just change it up and it is not going to affect anything. Now, under normal circumstance, I'll just be using the paint bucket tool, which is G on your keyboard, to create a color fill, like any color fill I want. Let me go ahead and clear the layer style so that you can see what we are doing. So if I go ahead and change the color to something like this, I can go ahead and do it over and over again. But I don't like this way. What I prefer to do is go to the adjustment panel and click on solid color. Then I will click on OK. So instead of using the paint bucket to draw on a layer, I'll just use the color fill instead. So when I go ahead and delete it, I do this just so anytime or at any point in time when I want to make changes, I can just double click on this and change the color to whatever I want, rather than going back to the paint bucket and coloring. And I feel it's a little bit too much of a stress. So let's go ahead and create a circle using the ellipse tool, U on your keyboard. So I'll click and drag whilst holding down the shift key so that I get a perfect circle with both dimensions on the left and right being exactly the same. So I'm going to place this somewhere around the center, which should also be here. Now you notice that the color of the circle, which is up here, the color fill, is the exact same thing as our background. That's why we can't really see anything except the outlines or the transform section. So what I'll do is I'll just double click since it is a shape and select any specific color, probably white. So let's go ahead and add in an image. I'm going with this image because I think it looks nice. And with this image, I can just crop out the background, and I feel this makes the work a lot easier. Now, just using the magic wand, because the background is about the same color, I can just click on any part and just hit delete on my keyboard. So, but before I hit the delete key, I have to make sure that this is not locked. So when I hit delete, it just goes away. Now you can use Ctrl D to deselect, or just go to select and deselect from here. Now, since I have this, I'll just use the move tool, click, bring it over here, and then release. Now, once I have done this, let's go ahead and make this also a smart object, so that when we are transforming it, as in when you are reducing the size or increasing it or moving it from one place to another, it doesn't pixelate or become blurry. So what I'll do is I'll right click and go to create or convert to smart object. Now, making sure that this image is on top of my circle, I would right click and go to create clipping mask. Make sure that it is on top of the circle, or else it's not going to work. Now I can go ahead and resize the image to fit the circle I have in here. So I think something like this is okay. Now I just changed my mind. I don't feel comfortable using the gray background. I want white. So in a situation like this, since I use the color fill, I can just double click and go to white and click on OK. Now we can't see the circle because the circle is also white. So I'll double click on the circle and probably sample a color from here. Maybe, I think this is also looking cool. Now you notice that the trouser is a bit of red and it is also showing. So let me stretch this out so that it doesn't show. I think something like this is cool. Now I can also add in what we call a stroke, which is an outline for the image. So I'll have the image selected, which is layer 1. No, let's give it a name, image, and let's call this image circle or something like that. So with the image selected, I'll go to FX and I'll click on stroke. Now you can't really see anything because the stroke size is set to 1 and the color is actually dark. So what I'll do is I'll click on the color and make it a white color so that you can see. Now if I go ahead and increase the size of the stroke, you can pretty much see what is going on. So I think about 2 or 3 should be just fine. Let's try 2. Yeah, I think 2 is okay, and I'll just hit on OK. Now I feel I should increase the size of the circle, so I'll just make it a bit bigger. Yeah, I think something like this is okay. Now once we are done, let's add in some YouTube cliche things like subscribe for new videos every week, even though we don't upload every week. So with that, I'll just be using the horizontal type 2, and I'll type in something like subscribe for weekly videos. Now let me highlight everything and reduce the size because it's a bit too huge. Yeah, I think something like this, and try to place it at the center. Now, of course, I'm not going to be using this font. Let's go with the Gotham font, Gotham or Unisans font. I think Gotham looks okay, so I'll go with let's try the medium version. No, let's try the bold version. And instead of having the weekly like this, I'll highlight it and use the ultra version so that it becomes much bolder. I can also change the color to probably red so that it catches the eyes a lot. Now this is looking quite good already. Now you can also add in like a subscribe icon or something like that. With that, I'll just be using the rectangle tool. If you are using an older version of Photoshop, you have a rounded rectangle, which is what we are actually going to be using. But since we are using a newer version of Photoshop, we just stuck with the rectangle tool. Now if you are using a newer version, go up here where you have the rounded edges and type in something like 10. Let's see how 10 is looking like. I don't like it. Let's make it about 20 and see what we have. Yeah, I think 20 looks cool, but it's still not enough. No, let's make it 30 and see what we have. Yeah, so I think 30 is okay. Now, like I said, the shape is also the same color as my foreground. So what I'll do is I'll just double click and change it to probably this red color right here. Then we can also type in something like subscribe. All right, so I'll change the color to probably white and I'll paste it in here like so. Now I'll go into character where we have the character option. So click on window, click on character, then increase the distance between the text, which is over here VA, and you see there's separation, so I'll increase the distance between them by about 150. And this is what we have. This is looking quite interesting for me. So if I go ahead and zoom out, this is basically what we have. Now, if you want to do some crazy background and images and all of that, you are free to do that. But I just wanted to give an outline or just an introduction to how you can create your own YouTube channel art. So basically, that is it for today. Let me bring the image at the bottom and probably increase the size to something like this, just to fill up those negative space I have here. And I'll also reduce the opacity to about 10 or probably 20, meaning it's actually visible, but it's not overshadowing what we have in there. I might also want to blur it out, so I'll go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'll blur it up by about 10 or just 5 should be okay. So basically, this is it. This is a simple YouTube channel art that you can create for your work and start doing something amazing with your YouTube channel. Now, like I said, you can always change the background, and if I go back, because I have saved it, if I go back, you can see that this is what we have. Now, this is what we have to upload on our YouTube channel art for it to work. So basically, that is it. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like to watch more of our videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Fino Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.